Dude,
What's up? Hold on, let me alright,
how's it going?
cool. What are you up to?
Dude, just quarantine chilling.
Oh my gosh, it's insane. Are y'all like on major lockdown over there?
Not yet, but we're probably like just like everybody else. They're like, I think our city is going on. Um, I don't even know what it's called anymore, but like the pretty intense lockdown, like kind of
Yeah.
thing this evening. So,
We all what are y'all doing for church and everything?
so we recorded last Friday. We recorded our entire service and worship and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And we recorded like a kids service too. So just recording it, putting it out.
Cool. Well that's cool, man. Yeah, I hit record earlier, so like the podcast is already going and everything, but no worries. But dude, I want to talk about why you moved out to California and what you chose to do out there and what is the mission with SLO City Church. And am I even saying that right?
Yeah, SLO
Okay,
City Church, you got it.
cool. What's the mission out there in SLO City?
Cool. So I'll start with the mission of the church first. So SLO City Church stands for San Luis Obispo, California. Um, it's a church planted by Orchard Group. So Orchard Group strategically plants churches in unreached places in the world. They specifically target cities and bigger cities. So SLO is a little bit different. I'll call it SLO from now on, but
Cool.
just so everybody knows, that stands for San Luis Obispo.
Nice.
And I'll say this too: we're on the central coast of California, so we're about 3 hours north of LA and 3 hours south of San Francisco. So we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of awesome. It's
Yeah.
kind of rural California. A lot of vineyards, a lot of farms, actually, like right outside of the city. So
Dope.
it's not at all what you would expect, like bustling, cities and
Yeah.
concrete.
Everybody
And
thinks of like downtown LA or like
yeah,
Celebrityville, California or something like that.
exactly. And that's before I got a chance to come out. That was kind of what I thought was, oh man, this is going to be Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces rolling down the street all the time. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's me. Um, so when I got out here and saw how humble the city is in regards to all of those things, I was like, this is pretty cool. So all that to say, that's kind of where we're at. So there's a group, they're called Barna Research. They do
Okay.
research and do Christian research and things. And they came out with an article and some research recently. It said SLO County and the kind of the surrounding area is the second most never churched region in the country.
Hmm.
I think maybe behind the Bay Area in San Francisco. I'm not exactly sure. But that's kind of what sparked the concern or the interest for SLO.
Yeah.
And 6% of the people, less than 6% of the people here go to church or have ever been to church.
Okay.
So, which is pretty crazy when you stop to think about it. So,
Yeah.
kind of the term never churched basically means, these are people who didn't grow up in church and have never been to church, like
Yeah.
have never gone to church on a Sunday. So that's kind of where the need was present and what kind of spurred the lead pastor Brent to come out here in Orchard to plant here.
Nice.
So
Well,
that's
I
why
know
we're here.
that I know that you were part of a mega church back here in Louisville, and you were the middle school pastor, right?
Mhm.
So, what inspired you to make the move out to California? What drew you out there?
The long story. I'm trying to think of
We got time, brother.
what to add, what to leave out. So I always knew I wanted to be a part of church planting
Mhm.
or mission work of some sort. So, yeah, the church that came from, that you're a part of back home, plants churches right now. Creates campuses. And I was a high school student. I was transitioning from 8th grade to my freshman year of high school when they decided to launch their first campus. which essentially at that point, even though there's kind of differentiations between campuses and church plants today, that was a church plant. It was kind of a pioneer type thing, and they're just planting this church and seeing what happens. And so
nice.
It just tremendously impacted my life and my story. I met my youth pastor through there, was discipled through that. And if that, it's crazy. Like the main campus was, I don't know, 30 miles from my house, not that far. And then this church plant, this other campus comes, and it's a quarter of a mile from my house. And the proximity and the presence is what changed my story. And so I think I didn't realize it, but I think through that experience of my years in high school and going to a church plant, it was kind of sparking and stirring something, pretty deep inside of me of like, missional church planting and bringing churches to people, to cities, to the world, and not just expecting to grow one church in one place and expect more people to come, but to, continue to go out. And so all throughout Bible college, I had always wanted to do something, even overseas or something with missions or church planting, something with lost people, unreached places, unreached cities, unreached people. So honestly, whenever I got the invitation to come back home and to work at my home church, I was pretty confused.
Yeah.
I was pretty confused, very hesitant. Honestly, that was probably one of the most anxious seasons of my life of just like, God, is this what I'm supposed to do? I don't feel like you've wired me for this, but I want to be faithful with it. If this is the opportunity you're presenting, to me, and the door just kept opening and kept opening. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this and we'll see what happens. And so went back there, was the middle school pastor for 3 years, from 2017 to 2020. My boss, the guy who hired me, a guy named Brent, who is the lead pastor of SLO City Church now.
Yeah.
So me and Brent got connected through that first hire as the middle school pastor at my home church, where I was confused. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Year and a half later, he goes out here to SLO to plant SLO City Church, and my ears just immediately perk up. I'm like,
yeah,
this is awesome, kind of thing. And so ever since he moved out, we had been chatting about it. Now that we talk now, he didn't know I was as serious as I was.
Yeah.
Because, really ever since he moved out, there was a conversation we had. We went to Exponential, a church planting conference in Orlando in 2018. And we sat by this pool. I'll never forget it. And he said, I want to have a serious conversation with you about this. All right. I'm ready. I'm excited to talk about this. And he had just got back from a trip out here to SLO. He hadn't, moved out yet or anything. And he had a conversation with a father here who had some students, some kids. And he just asked that father, what do kids do here for church, for fun? And the father just responded, there's not much. There's really nothing. And that was kind of the first time where it went from something that I saw myself as passionate about to kind of a personal burden of, oh man, I feel like the passions God has given me line up with this. And now I have seen and heard of the need. And really that was the conversation that I think took it to the next level for me.
Yeah.
But even then, I didn't come out for another almost 2 years. So there was a lot of prayer.
That had been 2 years in the making.
Yeah, a lot of prayer and honestly a lot of just waiting.
Wow.
Went into that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Dude, that's cool. I'm glad you're out there. So when you got out there, you're obviously working with the youth and everything. Was it kind of a night and day difference between the youth that you worked with here in Kentucky as opposed to California, or did you just kind of fall into the same thing?
Yeah, so it's. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, sorry, I was turning off those notifications.
No,
yeah, so we just launched our youth group 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And now we're a virtual online youth group with everything going on in the world. So right now, our students, we took 8 middle school students on a retreat 3 weeks ago, and then launched youth group the following week. So with those students, they come from really good, godly homes with some families out here, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And they're like all-star kids. Like, they went to bed when we asked them to go to bed at middle school retreat. Like, it was freaky. It was freaky weird. They were
That's
awesome.
really different from Kentucky.
Yeah, so that has been cool because that has showed me, I think the church is the church and Jesus is Jesus, and Jesus changes people, all around the world. And you see that in people here. There's all the stereotypes and all those things, and they might be somewhat true, but they're often, 50% true of what people make them to be. And so, people are people, and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit, and it disciples people here just like it does in Louisville.
Yeah.
And so the shock of all of that stuff is not as significant, I think, as I maybe thought it was going to be. So I've gotten to see the faithfulness of what happens when godly parents bring up a godly kid and what can happen. That's been really cool so far.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do see, I think there is something to, different cultures in the United States of just basic Bible knowledge, maybe.
Yeah.
That I don't want to say it is lacking out here, but is not as much for sure. And so I think something that I took for granted growing up was just the fact that we just went to church nominally.
Yeah.
And even that little bit planted such a huge spark and was an open door for God to begin to do things in my life.
Yeah.
Whereas places like this, kids might not even have that small opportunity to just go to church just to go to church.
Right. So it was like, this is kind of the Bible Belt out here, right? And then like, it's not so much like that out there in California, or is it still kind of?
Yeah. I think not as extreme as maybe I wanted to think or did think, but still there are differences. And I think those differences can be good and can be bad.
Yeah.
So
what are some of the bigger challenges that you're dealing with out there right now, just like coming into that new life?
I think there's, personally, there's a lot of differences. It's the first time I've lived on my own, which is, was an adjustment at first. It was weird for a day.
Yeah.
Now it's awesome.
Do you have a pet
now I
or
love
anything?
It. I don't know how I feel after being quarantined for weeks, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was hard. I think saying goodbye was by far the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and that really surprised me. Because when I was younger, when I was a naive high school student and even a naive college student, you hear these, glamorous stories, in the church of people going and moving far away and being missionaries to island jungle people and things like that. And like, I was always so inspired by those stories.
Yeah.
And still am, absolutely still am so inspired by those stories. But in my inspiration by those stories and those people, I just always assumed that if God calls you to something and he gives you peace about it, it transcends all of your emotions. Yeah. That was kind of my, presupposition was, if God calls you this and you're going to go do it, you're not going to be sad to leave. All you're going to be is excited and happy that you get to go do this.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised at the medley of excitement and peace and that never leaving, but also deep sadness to say bye to family, to say bye to people, to say bye to a ministry and all these people that I love and care about so much. I cried harder than I've ever cried in my adult life in the past, 6 months. Like
Yeah.
I never really cried, and the whole experience I think has just opened up a realm of emotions for me of just, it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to feel it, and it's okay to express it, and it's normal.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a very hard thing. It's just saying bye to the people you love.
Cool. So what's the plan look like for you out there? Have you made a 5-year plan or 10-year plan, or is this just kind of the current mission until God puts another thing on your heart?
Yeah, I would say it's absolutely the current mission. It's funny, even when I think of how long I could see myself here, I think it's a combination of a couple different things. I really love it here, which that always helps.
Yeah.
The church is young. We just launched in September, so as far as the horizon, it's like, oh man, there's just so much to do and to work for and to move forward. And so, and then I look at my role. So my title is the next gen pastor. So I oversee birth all the way through college age.
Wow.
And so all of those things, and I'm still in the honeymoon phase, and it's only been a few months since I've been here, but it's hard to even think about when this could end or when I'll do something next, which is exciting. I think when I went to the last church I was at, I didn't see myself there for long, and I'd kind of thought 2 years, maybe 3, was kind of what I felt like I had in my heart and in my mind, and it wound up being 3. And then with this one, the only number I can put on it is at least 5. Wow. At least 5, bare minimum 5. And then even beyond that, I'm like, and it could be more than 5. So I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have a goal for, does the church have a goal to reach at a certain time as far as growth or expansion or what they want to see happen in the community at all?
It's cool, man, because I've jumped into things, and one of the coolest things about a new church and a young church is how relationally driven it is.
Yeah.
And so your goals, and our lead pastor is incredible. And he moved out a year before the church started and just met people, would go to coffee shops and meet people and have conversations. And the church literally started with, I think, 4 guys getting together to open the Bible in a coffee shop on Wednesday mornings. And, today's Wednesday. We had that meeting this morning over Zoom, but we had it, last week in person, and there's, 20, 25 men showing up for a men's Bible study group. And so it's so it launched in September. So we're September, October, November, December, January, 5 months in, 6 months in, whatever that is. And it's kind of one of those things where you just jump in and go, and you're kind of freed up to not that you don't move forward with intentionality and goals in mind, but it's kind of refreshing because the goal is we want to tell people about Jesus,
Right.
And if I love in John when Jesus is praying for his disciples, and he refers to his disciples as the ones whom God has given him, whom the Father has given him. And that's been a really refreshing, just small phrase, I think, for me. It's just like, I just want to be faithful with the ones that God has given me right now. And I think that's a good way to summarize where we're at as a church. Like, just kind of have our head where our feet are, and we're just saying, we're just going to be faithful with the people God has given us now. Went from, for me, coming from the church we came from with, potentially hundreds, of kids coming to different things, different events, to then 8 on a middle school retreat is like, you have to have that mentality. And it's cool because it's like, I don't know, it's awesome. Like, I loved having 8 kids.
Now
and
you
like,
really get to pour into those kids,
Oh yeah. And it's a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
You can keep track of them a lot easier, which is great.
I feel that.
You don't need nearly as much help. And so it's just been super refreshing for me, I think, and all those things. And just being faithful, like, just that mentality. I'm just going to be faithful with a guy puts in front of me. We're doing a student gathering on Sunday over Zoom. I have no idea how many of them are going to pop in and show up. It could be one, it could be two, but it's like,
That's awesome.
all right, be faithful with these two.
So yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. So we're all under quarantine right now, and our country is shutting down restaurants and gyms and whatnot. Now churches. How are you guys? Has it been difficult to kind of operate under this new quarantine and under this new thing, or have y'all been able to manage, or have you even seen like any fruit come from it?
Yeah, dude, and I want to say this very sensitively because, this is obviously a, global tragedy.
Yeah.
And we always have to be, mindful of the families that this is affecting deeply, health-wise and economically. But I think in the midst of all that, it's cool to see, one, like how technology has equipped us for things like this.
Yeah.
Two, I feel like it's kind of become cliche over the past couple of days, but it's so true. Like, church is not a building, and to mobilize and equip people to have gatherings in their homes or apartments has been really, really cool and really refreshing for me because, like, I've, always kind of aspired to see things like that happen. You hear of some churches take Sundays off and things like that. Like, I just think that stuff is really, really cool, and I think it's really healthy. I think for us, I live in an apartment complex. Two other members from the church live like right over there. Nice. And they've been building an incredible relationship with one of their neighbors. And we had a gathering at their apartment, about 12 of us. We cooked breakfast together, and then our church, we sent out a video of our pastor preaching with some worship stuff, and we had church. We ate together and we prayed together, and we watched the sermon. And their neighbor came. He walked right across the breezeway into their apartment, came and ate with us, and got to come to church because it was 3 steps away from his front door. Yeah. And you think about that, kind of what I said earlier, the church going out and not expecting people to come to church, but taking the church to people. Like, that's what we got to do. Like, my neighbor went surfing with them later that day, and they had a conversation, and he pretty much told them, I had a terrible experience with church growing up. I went to, a church that kind of freaked me out, and I've never been since. And he said something along the lines of, if we didn't do it in your living room, I probably wouldn't have come. But he said, I really loved it, and I really enjoyed it. And so it's just like little stories like that, where I know conversations like that have happened all across the country, and I think stuff like that is so cool. And so we've just been doing the basic stuff, sending out that video. For kids ministry, I made a video, like an interactive, fun video for parents to experience what their kids experience on a Sunday.
Nice.
Led them through some games and some worship and some teaching as a family, which for me, that was really cool because I know as a youth pastor, parents are the primary disciple makers for a kid in their life. And so I feel very strongly that one of my biggest responsibilities is doing my best to equip and empower a parent to disciple their kids. And so for me, that was a massive win to be able to equip a parent to have a spiritual conversation with their kid. Is like money, like that's
Absolutely.
What I want to do. That's what I think we should always, try to do. So that stuff's been cool. Brent started a podcast on Tuesday, just kind of talking about a sermon, just like those with technology today, they're super easy. And, they kind of go a long way to help people just think and have conversations about the Bible and Scripture. And
what is that podcast? I'll have to check it out.
If you just type in SLO City Church,
SLO City Church,
all the sermons are in there, and then it's just a 15 conversation about the sermon that they did yesterday. So just the little things like that. But here, I'll highlight this. This is my favorite thing we're doing.
Yeah.
So we are buying out. Our church is coming together. We're kind of rallying our people. And we are all we're calling it buying out. There's a local small restaurant. They're called Old Slow Barbecue. And we're just saying, hey, I think Thursday night, we're just going to not cook dinner at home. We're going to bless them. We're going to buy their food and go pick it up or have it delivered, younger, healthy people from the church might go deliver, with gloves and, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But just ways to, I don't know, man, like the gospel we should live it.
Yeah.
And the gospel should be for the city and in the city. And the gospel should make the city better. All of this along the lines of the church not being four walls. And so if we can go out and bring hope to a small business, let's bring hope to a small business and live out the gospel in that way. And so I'm really excited for us to get to do that and to be a part of something like that and just to help. I think a lot of times we think of helping as, providing food, which is, huge and massive, but it's cool to just think, let's just go buy stuff from this restaurant and help them. So,
dude, that's awesome. That's really cool. Well, I think what you guys are doing out there is awesome. And of course I've wanted to talk to you ever since you moved out there. I'm glad I got the chance to talk to you. I want to give you a chance to give a couple more things to say about SLO City. Is there anything that the audience can pray for, or is there any way that the audience can get connected with SLO City and keep track of them and follow them on social media?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say we're pretty I don't know what the right terminology is, well versed with social media and our website and all that stuff. And so we have Instagram, we have Facebook page, and so the Instagram stays up to date big time. Cool. So Instagram is probably the best way. And then prayer. I would just say, prayer for us, but prayer, I think, for the church in general, just that more people would come to know Jesus through this and with everything that is going on. Because I think we do, in the midst of tragedy, in the midst of anxiety and people's panic, we do have a really cool opportunity to provide hope and steadiness and to have more people and come in to hear the gospel, which I think is awesome. So I would just say, just pray for that,
Cool, man. Cool. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And honestly, I've missed you like crazy and everything. Me and Chase both, we've all missed you like crazy. And do you surf out there? Is that did you casually just mention that earlier?
So I'm actually going surfing this afternoon, which is totally stereotypical California thing to do when you first move out here. But I say that I'm a wimp, dude. It's called the whitewater.
Whatever.
It's
you'll pick it
it's
up. It's
where the babies surf, and and I'm still freaked out about sharks, so I don't go to the deep water.
Okay. Well, dude,
I'm a surf pretender right now.
Cool. Well, dude, I'll let you get to it, man. But let me know when you're back in town, and we'll hang out again soon. All right.
Sounds good, man. Love you, dude.
Love you too, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I'll see you later.